New PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series Sonic the Hedgehog game announced. Sonic Colors Ultimate has been announced as well as a port/definitive edition for all consoles and PC. A lot of Sonic themed collabs in SEGA games, a special orchestra and concert for Sonic music planned for free, and many more. Welcome to my channel, it's me Gamerturk, and I'm sure there is at least a few of you who missed Sonic content here on my channel, so feel free to comment and hit that like button after watching to let me know. But if you're new, you should totally subscribe. Sonic news is back on the menu, and I'm glad I got things to cover from one of my favorite series ever once again. To give you a quick overview, just in case if you were living under a rock for the past couple days, and if you weren't, the video is timestamped so you can just skip ahead if you want to. On May 25th, Sonic the Hedgehog Twitter account announced a Sonic Central stream on the official Sonic the Hedgehog YouTube channel, which you can think of as a Sonic Direct, similar to Nintendo's Direct streams. They promised lots of news for the 30th anniversary projects, not just games but also animations, collabs, etc. On the same day, we also got a 30th anniversary commemorative trailer narrated by Roger Craig Smith, the voice actor of Sonic the Hedgehog, who had announced he was no longer playing Sonic just a couple months ago. And shortly after this trailer dropped, of course, he announced on his Twitter that once again he would be voicing Sonic. Now I do have an explanation for this, of course, and I will talk about it later in the video too, but continuing with the overview, the commemorative trailer also had a very peculiar scene, and many people realized that this specific moment, while reminding many of Sonic Colors' opening scene, was actually a brand new animated sequence. And that brings us to May 27th, the day of the Sonic Central stream, and huge news across the board. First off, the 30th anniversary logo animation is just absolutely gorgeous and so clean that I love it. But right after that, we opened up with speeches from Sonic the Hedgehog Global Chief Brand Officer Ivo Gershkovich, as well as Takashi Iizuka, now titled Creative Officer of the series, rather than the usual game/production lead he is credited with. I mention this as a key change worthy of highlighting because a large portion of the fanbase hasn't been quite happy with Iizuka's leadership of the past couple of games we had, although there's usually a bigger picture than just Iizuka on those matters. So, if knowing he's not directly helming the new next-gen Sonic game eases your stress, there you go. But aside from that, regardless of whether I agree with certain decisions or not, in some games he was leading the development of, I do believe it's important to have a series veteran like Iizuka to oversee the general direction and strategy of the series, rather than an old person like Iizuka overseeing specific games and micromanage a gameplay format. In my opinion, the actual Sonic games themselves require a more energetic and young development team, especially due to the nature of the series itself. A game should be connected with the current youth, rather than an experienced veteran trying to recreate his past success, and this was, reflected in a lot of the games with seemingly weird or indecisive commitments of the series, like trying to shoehorn classic Sonic into 3D games, despite, fans being highly critical of it, trying to portray a serious tone at first but then go in sitcom in the next scene, making a big deal of fan favorite bosses but then never including them as a boss in the game. These are all indications of being out of touch with the current fan base and the youth playing your game. So it's certainly a better choice for him to specifically be a creative lead for Sonic and Sonic's image as a character than having him deal with the actual micro scale of these individual products that reach out to the end consumers. But right after this, Sonic Central stream was focused on more minor news and collabs for a bit, although the first one really stands out to me and I believe is one of the biggest news from this entire stream: music performances. We are getting a 30th anniversary symphony, Crush 40, as well as Tomoya Ohtani performances. Crush 40 and Tomoya Ohtani are always great to have, but I am particularly excited for the orchestra performance. These are actually gaining a lot of interest, especially in Japan. Fate Grand Order Orchestra is one of my favorite musical performances out there, so I'm definitely thrilled for Sonic series finally utilizing its incredible soundtrack variety in this way too. Especially considering Solaris, Perfect Dark Gaia, and Mega Wisp Armor featuring my favorite tracks in the entire series, and it certainly is no coincidence that they're all orchestrated renditions. Although Death Egg Robo Phase 3 Enforces is a notable mention too, yes, and it's also an orchestra cover. So what I'm trying to say is, more orchestra please. The series is full to the brim with incredible tracks, utilize them. And these performances will be available for free on June 23rd. Other small news, Tokyo 2020 official game from SEGA gets a Sonic mascot as a character, the 2 Point Hospital game gets Sonic themed decorations and Sonic character skins, Lost Judgment game gets Sonic the Fighters game ported into it. People have been asking for a proper port of this game for a very long time, but it seems this long-standing tradition of adding old games into arcade machines in their newer games taking place in Japan, tradition of SEGA, is the best we're getting for now for Sonic Fighters. But that brings us to our first big news. Well, big news for many at least. Sonic Colors is certainly not my favorite boost game out there, but still, getting it in proper HD and 60 FPS sport will definitely bring additional enjoyment to it. Sonic Colors Ultimate is a port slash remaster slash definitive edition re-release of Sonic Colors on all the available platforms. So PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch and PC, but there are some details here to talk about before we get to the additions that this definitive edition brings to the table. First off, the available platforms and platform features. Unless the boxes are placeholders, it appears that Xbox Series X and S will be getting enhancements to boost it up to 4K visuals, whereas no such mention is present on the PlayStation box art. This is further solidified via the platform logos underneath, where we do not see an additional PS5 logo next to the PS4 logo, but a Series X and S logo along with Xbox One. So if this is a finalized decision, us PlayStation users will be locked into backwards compatibility only, and will only get some benefits through the brute forcing of PS5 hardware rather than any additional next-gen benefits, which is incredibly sad. I do hope an enhancement patch will eventually be added to the mix for PS5. But another problem that many PC users will recognize is that Sonic Colors Ultimate appears to be an exclusive to the Epic Games Store. Again, I don't game much on PC, but I can certainly say I do not want another goddamn store client on my PC. Let me game on whichever platform I want, for the love of God. If I want to use Steam, let me use fucking Steam. When even the consoles are dropping their exclusivities and bringing things over to other platforms and PC, it's incredibly troubling that Epic can just dump cash into publishers to secure a store exclusivity on the entire PC market, and this practice simply has to stop. The release is on September 7th, so there is time for changes to happen, but honestly, Epic exclusivity is just shit at this point. Oh, also, Digital Deluxe pre-order comes with some benefits too. First and the biggest one is early access to the game, which will likely push all of you into the digital purchases anyways, despite the physical box coming with a baby movie Sonic keychain. In addition to that, you'll get exclusive music, in quotes, which I imagine is a digital release of the game's soundtrack, but I can't exactly confirm due to the language used here, it's a bit too vague. Exclusive player icons, which probably is just save icons within the game rather than platform profile icons, considering PC exists too, you know, and it doesn't rely on the games gracing them with limited profile icons, and they can just use a JPEG file just fine. And of course, customization options for Sonic, gold and silver variables, as well as a Sonic movie styled boost. Why did I say of course? This is completely new. Customization options that we also see plenty of within the trailer itself are arriving in Sonic Colors Ultimate. Although we do not know the exact range of these options, so far it only seems like it's boost effects and gloves and shoes combo, although there may be more, especially if they're integrating some of that Sonic Forces customization magic into their engine, which had an incredible variety of options for your custom character. But customization is not the only new addition to the game. On the box art, you can see a green Frenzy Wisp, which, upon some people reminding me it is actually from Team Sonic Racing, It's no longer a new Wisp. God, it still saddens me that Team Sonic Racing never managed to even come close to what Transformed was. It was so forgettable. But yeah, this is the Ghost Wisp that allowed you to become invincible in Team Sonic Racing. So in Colors Ultimate, it's probably just replacing the invincibility boxes. I don't expect much on that front. The trailer itself looks really nice at some points, whereas not so nice in some others, considering it's 2021 at this point. Overall, it is definitely an improvement, no questions there. A lot more detail, the proper HD Sonic model we have gotten used to in the recent 3D games, etc. But the movements of Sonic, they still appear to be using the colors as a base, where they are very static in their animations. Like Sonic does not lean into the curves when he's using the rails, something we had in, oh, I don't know, Sonic Unleashed, Sonic Generations, Lost World Forces, even Sonic Adventure 2 had Sonic dynamically reacting to the curves when he was on the rails. So yeah, it just appears to be improved visuals, or perhaps even a reverting of downgrades they did when they were trying to fit the game on the Wii, rather than an actual rework of existing animations and the like, which is kinda saddening. I just hope they used an earlier build for the trailer and we get these little subtleties of animation on release. It's the little things that count, you know? Again, the game is coming out September 7th, 2021, with digital pre-orders getting early access. But with the next section, Roger Craig Smith made an appearance and confirmed he will be once again voicing Sonic the Hedgehog. As mentioned, he had announced he would no longer be voicing Sonic a while back, so here's what I imagine happened. Sega indeed went for a recast instead of just extending everyone's contract, at which point Roger was, technically speaking, officially no longer voicing Sonic the Hedgehog. And once the casting was up, he simply auditioned for the role again, he got the role again, and now he is officially voicing Sonic once again. If I remember correctly, this was in fact the case with Mike Pollock, aka Eggman, a couple times as well. He had arrived with the 4Kids' Sonic X cast, and once Sega decided to recast everyone in 2009, Mike Pollock simply re-auditioned for the role of Eggman and became Dr. Eggman once more, effectively keeping his role. If I remember correctly, he also had a funny story on that recast, so you may want to check some podcasts he was part of in the past. He is a really cool and funny guy. He's fun to watch. And well, I had made a goodbye Roger Craig Smith video when the first news had arrived a couple months ago, sharing my regret of losing such a talented voice actor, and now I can confidently say I am thrilled to have Roger Craig Smith back as the Blue Blur again. Let's hope we'll continue running with him for a long time to come. But that wasn't the only announcement in this segment. We are getting a new short animation series. Sonic Colors Rise of the Wisps, a two-parter short animation, was announced as a beginning of an animation series to come, with full voice cast taking place in the world of Sonic Colors with a unique and vibrant animation style. We also had a small preview, definitely looking forward to it. And more intermission news in between big announcements. A new compilation called Sonic Origins is in the works, featuring Sonic 1, 2, 3, Sonic & Knuckles and CD, which is meh, I guess. These games are getting re-released every other year on some platform anyways. They did mention some added content features, though it's never specified what they are. I can't wait for it to be online leaderboards that will get exploited in 3 days and start featuring 1-second stage clears across the board. Sonic Mania, Team Sonic Racing and Sonic Forces come into PlayStation Now streaming service on June 1st, and Mania and Team Sonic Racing are now on Amazon Luna 2, which is the first time I heard Amazon having a platform like that. Sonic Dash and Sonic Forces Speed Battle, which is apparently no longer called Speed Battle at all, just Sonic Forces, they're getting new events too, so that's something. Super Sonic and Forces Speed Battle is gonna be interesting. And finally, private matchmaking is coming soon. I remember back when I did Speed Battle streams, we had to try timing our matchmaking so that I could race against viewers, which it never worked. So looking forward to racing you guys when it arrives on streams. Also, Werehog is coming to Dash and Speed Battle too. In other news, Classic Sonic is coming to the Sonic Racing on Apple Arcade, if anyone's interested. But now, next up was a segment on the highly anticipated Netflix animation series, Sonic Prime. But sadly, no information at all was provided. All we were provided was an Eggman logo redesign. Considering the Sonic Boom design reveals all those years ago, they probably had the right idea to not tease something that may give the fans the wrong idea. You know, for a fan base that is very eager to start panicking at the first sight of anything and start burning places down. The people in charge did work on Ben 10 and Big Hero 6 among others, so that is something you can reference for the show if you're not over 20 and have actually watched those things, unlike me. They promise a fun and exciting series, 24 episodes, where Sonic will have moments of self-discovery and redemption. Sonic Prime will be coming in 2022 worldwide. And last but not least, as we have come to expect from Iizuka, right before the event finishes, he comes in and tells us we got one more thing to see. And that brings us to the new next-gen Sonic the Hedgehog title, which doesn't have anything shown to us at all, not even a name. Anyways, I don't like to speculate too much, and while there are some leaks online, I do not like to entertain leaks with zero credibility, and will only do so if there are trustworthy leaks, which there aren't at the moment. So in this case, what I can tell you based on this minor teaser is very limited in nature. The new Untitled Sonic game is coming out on 2022, and will be available on all current and next-gen platforms. I keep saying next-gen, but yeah, the correct terminology would be last and current-gen, considering PS5 and Xbox Series consoles are now the current-gen. So PS4, PS5, Series X and S, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, with no mention of Steam or Epic. The trailer itself, which looks like the amazing Marza Animation Planet on the work again, seems to indicate we are getting a boost style game, which does make me happy a lot. I am a sucker for boost games, although please have more unleash, like wild boost where you need to do your best to tame it or play safe, and less of colors and forces boost where you just boost and the game does stuff for you. The purple glitchy effects, as well as the aura that appears around Sonic, they also give me the impression that this is a Wisp based game, which is further reinforced by the fact that there was an incredible amount of colors, promotion and themed news in the stream specifically. So it certainly looks like they are building up towards that colors/Wisp hype in general, which ties in to this announcement specifically. But that is pretty much it from Sonic Central 30th anniversary news drop. It seems like we may learn more at Summer Game Fest 2021 or further at E3, with SEGA participating there too. So do look forward to more news then. Make sure to like and comment, and don't forget to subscribe for more Sonic the Hedgehog news, playthroughs, streams and reviews. Huge thanks to all my members and patrons, and until next time, keep on running.